Hello everyone and welcome to Oregon Zoo Live. My name is Serena and I am going to spend some time with you today to talk about ways that we can explore nature, and I know that you're going to be excited to meet an animal friend that we're going to see in a little bit. But first, I do want to say, please let us know if at any time you can't really hear. I'm happy to repeat anything. Give us those reactions as you letting us know if you can hear, and also ask any questions that you might have. Like I said, we're going to meet our animal friend who is an owl in a little bit. But first, I want to talk about the fact that there's something really big happening in the world right now. And I know that I'm feeling some really big feelings about it. So one way that it helps me to work through those really big feelings and to kind of understand what my body's doing because of those big feelings is to spend some time in nature. So for the next couple of minutes, I invite you to participate along with me. It might be easiest if you get a picture in your mind of the closest nature spot to you. So this could be your yard, it could be a green space near where you live, it could be a park, as long as you're staying that appropriate distance away from anyone not in your household. And just get that picture in your brain, and we'll kind of put ourselves there for just a moment. Now, when you go out into nature, one thing that I like to do is to really feel it. And how I do that is, if the weather's nice, it's not too muddy, I might take my shoes and socks off and put my feet right directly on the ground. Other times, maybe I'll just take my hands. So come along with me as we are going to touch the ground and just feel the ground and feel that part of nature. Okay, so when I'm doing that, one thing else that I like to do is to get a sense of what my body's doing, and I can do that through some breathing. So I'm going to ask you to participate with me and practice. You can do this later out in nature when you have that time, but first we just take a nice deep breath in and then we let it out. And if you do that a couple times, then kind of get a sense of what your body's doing and how maybe your muscles are relaxing and how you're able then to use your senses to explore nature around you. And when you're doing that, you can see if you can find some evidence of different kinds of animals. So since we're talking about owls today, and one particular kind is going to be the western screech owl, I'm going to show you some different things that you can look for owl evidence, so that maybe you can go see if you can find them yourselves. Hold on one second, let me go grab one. Okay, are you still with me? Perfect. So this is an owl feather. This is not a western screech owl feather. This is from an owl, another kind of owl that lives here at the Oregon Zoo. Her name's Camaria. She's from an entirely different place, a different country and continent than where we live. And there are about 14 species of owls that live right here in Oregon, and one of those is the western screech owl. And this is the you might be able to hear those big bangs. We've got a lot of construction that's still happening here at the zoo, so hopefully if you're having any problems hearing me, just let me know, and know that there's still a lot happening here at your zoo, but we're trying to bring it to you live, even the construction. So this is a western screech owl feather, so it's a lot smaller in size. That might give you a sense of what our animal friend is going to look like. And if you find a feather out in nature, you can feel it, see how that moves. You can explore with your touch about how soft it is and the way it moves, and maybe even practice moving it through the air quickly. I'm not going to do it now because you won't be able to see very well, and see if you can hear it make any sounds. So what that can look like is to go like that next to your ear. So if you find feathers, please remember to wash your hands after you touch it, of course, but that's a way to tell you what animals are around where you live and where you're exploring. Okay, I've got more, hold on. So here in my hand, I've got two different kinds of things called owl pellets. So you see I'm wearing appropriate personal protective equipment with this hand. So I'm gonna break apart this pellet, and we're gonna kind of see what we explore in there. Now what an owl pellet is that owls eat everything. All of the prey that they have, they eat. So they'll eat the bones, the fur, the feathers. They are carnivores. So they're gonna eat other animals. So we can see here, this owl had something that's got some kind of big bones in there. So it's probably something like a large rodent, maybe a rat, maybe a large mouse. So you can explore, again, wash your hands afterwards. If you find a pellet, what you might find in there. So we've got lots of different things there. Now this one's a little bit of a smaller size, which is more appropriate for a western screech owl. And you can see in this one, we got real tiny bones in there. So they are gonna eat some smaller prey items. And I'll talk a little bit more about what western screech owls eat when we see him, which will be in just a moment. Okay, so owl pellets, that's what they cough up that they can't digest after they eat everything of their prey. Now, one other kind of evidence that you might be able to find out in nature about birds are nests. Now, we have an activity on our website you're going to be able to go explore that is about making your own nest. Western screech owls don't make nests that might look like what you picture in your mind. That perfect shape, it's up in the trees. They don't do that. However, if you're gonna make your own, maybe you want a nice example of one. So I'm gonna show it to you in just a moment, and give me a few seconds to be able to get Pinecone ready and bring him back. So take a look at this. Okay, thanks. This is Pinecone, our western screech owl, and as you can see, he's got some equipment on him. I'm trying to make sure it's very comfortable for him. We are outside, and he does see outside quite a bit because part of where he lives here at the zoo has outside space. However, we're kind of in a different spot than he sees usually. So he's reacting to that a little bit. Normally he often will be, when he's very, very comfortable somewhere, he gets very fluffy and looks a lot more round. Right now, you can see he's got those ear tufts, is what they're called. There's feathers that are up on his head. They're raised a little bit. That's kind of a way for him to look more like a tree. And his feathers are laying closer to his body. So if he were up on some tree branches, then he would look more like the tree. So that's a type of camouflage that he is able to do to help him to avoid being seen by other animals like larger birds, because there are bigger birds that do eat smaller birds. So he doesn't want to get eaten. So he's trying to hide from anything that might think he would be a tasty snack.
So Lily's asking, how old is Pinecone?
Thanks, Lily. Pinecone is about 2 years old. So he's not very old at all for living here at the zoo. His story starts near Eugene, Oregon, which is not too far from where we are right now. And he came to live here because he was found as a tiny little owl, an owlet, and he couldn't figure out how to be an owl out in nature on his own. So now we care for him.
Bentley wants to know, how do owls fly at night?
Bentley, thanks for that really, really great question. How do owls fly at night? So if Pinecone would turn around so that we could see, here we go. Maybe I'll adjust a little bit. Oh, there you see his really, really big eyes. That helps him to be able to see very well at night. So I don't know if you got to see that real quick movement with his pupils. They went from larger to smaller, and they adjust based on the amount of light that's available. Our eyes do that too, but it's just harder to see because they're a little bit smaller.
Sage is asking, what does pinecone eat?
Pinecone eats all kinds of different animals that are small, so things from spiders to small rodents. He can eat little different bugs and small animals.
So Corinne and some other folks are asking, how long will pinecone live?
Pinecone, thanks Corinne, pinecone is probably going to live here in human care anywhere between 13 and 19 years. So that's a big range. Out in nature, it's hard to survive all the time. So they don't tend to live very long, maybe less than 8 years.
Vivian's asking, do owls like fish and do they drink water?
Owls do drink water, Vivian, but they don't really, this kind of owl doesn't really eat fish. It's a little hard to hunt for fish at night.
So, and the Cascades Raptor Center folks say hello.
Oh, hi Cascade Raptor Center! They took really great care of Pinecone before he came to live here.
Addie's asking, how did pinecone get his name?
So what's Addie, it's kind of a funny story. So while he was being cared for at Cascade Raptor Center, they figured out that he liked to play with pine cones. So it's not that he's the size of one or looks like one, but that's what he really liked to interact with. So it's almost like his favorite toy, and so he got the name Pinecone.
Maddie is asking, where do screech owls live?
There are different kinds of screech owls that live throughout the United States and North America, and the western screech owl lives here on the West Coast, so they can be found right here in Oregon.
Alexis wants to know, are pinecone's talons really sharp?
Alexis, you are so observant. So you might see that I'm wearing a leather glove, and they do have talons to be able to catch those animals that they eat. So I'm staying safe and giving him a nice big perch and making sure that I don't get scratched by those talons. They are sharp. Nice job.
Tatum wants to know how owls can turn their head all the way around. Can they turn them all the way around?
Oh, Tatum, this is one of my favorite things to talk about. So if you were to try to turn your head as far as Pinecone is turning it right now, which is almost straight back from where, from looking straight ahead, where his body's facing, we wouldn't be able to do it because we don't have the same number of bones in our necks that owls do. So we have 7 bones in our neck, so a little later you can practice that and turn your head side to side, see how far it'll go without moving your body. Owls have 14, so he could turn his head all the way to his other shoulder and face that way without ever moving his body from where it is, and do it the other way too. So 3/4 of the way around, which is for us, we would only go 1/4 of the way around. Great question.
Peyton and Miles are asking if owls stay with their families after the baby's born.
Peyton and sorry, who was
Miles?
it? Miles. So owls will stay with their family for a little while until they can hunt on their own, and then they'll stay with maybe a partner, a buddy that they want to have babies with when they get a little older, but they don't live in family groups.
Natalie's asking if screech owls are good at camouflage.
Natalie, yes. If we had a tree right near us, you would be able to see that you'd be able to see it's hard to see a screech owl in the tree because of the way that their feathers are colored to match the tree bark.
Braden's asking why they're called screech owls.
Braden, this is a great one. So all different kinds of owls have different sounds that they make. So we might think that all owls say hoo, hoo, but each kind of owl has their own pattern and sound. And so screech owls can make kind of a screeching sound as one of their vocalizations or sounds they make. Another one is, for the western screech owl, is kind of like a bouncy rubber ball. So they kind of go boop, 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 in a different pattern. So different owls make different sounds, and we've got a great activity for you on our website that you can explore that more.
Bailey is asking if owls lay eggs like other birds.
Owls do lay eggs, Bailey. Yep, all birds lay eggs, and they will too. They won't make a nest like the one that you saw before, but they will find some crevices and tuck them in real nice.
Leo wants to know, what's the biggest species of owl?
Leo, the biggest species of owl that's here in North America is the snowy owl. However, the largest kind of owl is an eagle owl, and those are found in other continents.
So Cleo's asking, how does an owl make its nest?
Cleo, it depends on the owl species. So the western screech owls are going to find crevices, and they might put some like leaf litter or something in there, but they don't take the sticks and turn it into the shapes that you saw before and that you might try to make yourself. So they'll use what's around for them.
So Hillary's daughter is asking, how do owls hunt at night?
Hillary's daughter, hi, how you doing? They hunt at night by using their really great hearing and those excellent eyes, and they fly very, very quietly, so they can sneak up on what they're trying to eat. And owls can be active not only at night, but in the late afternoon, late evening, and early morning hours. So there's some light out during that time too, and different animals that are busy.
Maya's asking, what do owls eat?
Maya, great question. They are carnivores, meaning they eat only meat or other animals. So this kind of owl, the western screech owl, is going to eat all sorts of different things, from small insects up to and arachnids like spiders up to small mammals.
Serena, we're getting some questions about owls that live in this area local to Portland. Can you tell us about that?
So there are, like I said before, and you might want to go back and watch again, which I totally understand, there are 14 different kinds of owls that live here in Oregon that you can find pretty regularly. You can visit the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife. They list them all, but you might see something like a barred owl, which is kind of tall, great horned owls, which keep those tufts up a little bit more often than other ones. That's a fairly large one. And even during certain times of the year, a snowy owl, which is a big owl that you might be able to see. I know that I've seen a barred owl near my house, but I can't ever find the little ones. They camouflage so well. Maybe you can find one and tell us where you saw it.
Rachel wants to know, how small are owls when they first hatch?
Rachel, this is a really, really great question that I don't have a very specific answer for. They're going to be really little, and birds look a lot different when they just hatch out of their eggs than they do when you see like a grown-up one like a pinecone here. They don't really have their feathers yet, so they kind of look a little funny.
3-year-old Jax wants to know, how much does pinecone weigh?
Jax, if you were to go pick up, oh gosh, maybe your cup, he's gonna weigh less than your empty cup, or maybe about the same.
Melissa wants to know, do owls hear as well as bats?
Oh, Melissa, owls hear differently than bats do. So they use a different way to hear. So bats will use echolocation. They send sounds out. It comes back, it bounces off something and comes back to them, and that's what they hear. Owls' ears are on different parts of their head. So while ours are on the same spot on both sides of our head, an owl's ear, one can be a little higher and a little forward, and the other one can be a little lower and a little back. So they can almost hear like surround sound speakers. They can hear all around them.
Laurel wants to know, can owls move their eyes or just their head?
Oh, this is another one of my favorite questions, Laurel. Thank you for asking that. They cannot move their eyes at all. And I have something that I can show you so you can see how that works. So this is a great horned owl skull model, and you can see in those where the eyes would be, they're kind of like this right here, they're fixed, so the eyes will sit right in there, rather than for us, if you look at a skull for humans, it's really open in the spot where the eyes go, because we have muscles that hold our eyes there, and we can move our eyes with those muscles. Owls don't have enough room because of how big their eyes are to be able to see in the dark. So they don't move their eyes at all, which is why they can move their head so far around.
Layla's asking about screech owl predators. What animals eat screech owls?
Oh, other predators that can eat smaller things, so like larger birds. He's paying attention to crows that are in the area, other kinds of big owls, maybe even hawks if he's active in the time that the hawks are awake, and smaller things that eat other animals too. So when they're little, then maybe snakes. There's lots of different things that could eat a screech owl.
Crew wants to know, do owls blink?
Crew, another awesome question. I love owl eyeballs. Yes, he just blinked. Hopefully you saw that. They have two sets of eyelids. So not only do they have one that blinks like this, like we do, but they also have another one that comes across like this. So they have two kinds of eyelids. And I think that's magical.
Tristan wants to know, kind of on the same subject, do owls have eyebrows?
Tristan, well, so if you look at the shape of him, he kind of does look like he's got some really great eyebrows over top. This kind of bird doesn't have an eyebrow like we do, or even like some hawks do, because they don't need that. So that brow helps to block like a hat, like the bill of a hat. If you were to wear a cap, a ball cap, then that helps to block some sun from your eyes. Owls don't need that because they're not active during the daytime, most of them.
Hayes is asking, does Pinecone eat out of your hand?
Pinecone can eat from my hand. We usually try to kind of put his food in different places, so he has to go find it. I would offer him something to eat right now, but he is so interested in everything that's going on, he probably wouldn't even eat it. It's much more interesting to see what's happening out here in nature than it is to eat right now.
So Serena, what are some ways that people can help owls?
There are so many great ways for people to help owls. So like I said before, they eat other animals and even small things like that we might consider pests, like rodents. So one thing that you can do that's going to help owls, all owls, no matter where you live, is to try to use ways that don't mean that you're poisoning pests like rats and mice, because if an owl eats a mouse or a rat or another rodent that has that, then that's going to make them sick, so that's not very good. Another thing that you can do is there are different kinds of nest boxes that you can make that some species of owls, depending on where you live, might use. So definitely explore that and let us know what you find.
Layla wants to know if male and female owls look different.
Layla, it depends on the kind of owl. So for the western screech owl, there's not much difference. But for some other kinds of owls, they do look a little different. Usually it's the size. So this isn't true for every single one, but often the females are a little bit bigger than the males are.
So we'll take one last question here from Jamie, who wants to know, Serena, how did you become a zookeeper? How did you get to where you are now?
Jamie, that's a really great question that I love being able to answer. How did I get to work here as a zookeeper at the Oregon Zoo? Well, I did go to college and learned a lot about biology and different kinds of animals, and I just found that it was really my passion to not only care for animals but also talk to people like you. So I went to school and I volunteered when I was able to, and I worked, and now I'm working here and I'm able to share this with you, and that's really exciting. And I'm so glad that all of you spent some time with me today and with Pinecone. We really hope that you go out, explore nature, and tag us. Take pictures maybe of some animal evidence that you find. Tag us in those. Practice those activities that we're going to have up on the website for you to do. And we hope to see you next time with Oregon Zoo Live. Pinecone, turn around.